Okay, I'm just going to tell you about everything that the channel does, which is a lot, but at least you'll get a sense of what each button does. We'll start right at the top. So this is where the microphone cable comes in from the stage, or right now I've plugged into it directly. The first switch you come to is what's called plus 48V. That's 48 volts, sometimes also called phantom power. Our condenser microphones in the church require phantom power. And so if you're using like the microphones for the piano, this has to be on for them to work. That will never damage any other microphone. So it doesn't matter if another microphone gets power. The reason why we leave it off is when you plug a microphone in, when it has that power, it will pop. So it's more convenient to have it off. But definitely remember it, it will not work on one of our condenser microphones, the piano microphones, unless that's down. We'll skip these inputs. This is the gain knob, which we went over in setting levels, so we looked at that. And remember that somebody looking at this video will be looking at it this way. They'll appreciate it being horizontal. This next button right here, HPF, that's called a high pass filter. And what that means, when it's up, it's off. It's not filtering. When it's down, it's taking the really, really low sounds, like we're talking lower than somebody can sing, and cutting them out. And basically on every possible source, it's best to have that filter on, so the switch down, because it gets rid of kind of muddiness. The only time you would want that off is on a channel that has a bass guitar or a channel that has the kick drum. But anything else, you want it down. It really does help improve the mix, so it's really worth watching that button and that it's down for most things. The next section is the EQ, and I'm going to do a separate video on EQ, but just so you know, this button here can turn the overall EQ on and off, right here. So if you want to know there's EQ, if it's in the up position, the EQ is off. If it's the down position, it's on, based on how it's set. But I'll do a separate video on that. These are our 4 aux sends for monitors. There's also 2 more aux sends, 5 and 6, which we use for effects, and I'll talk about those in a separate video. This is the pan. This we don't really have to use in the church. It basically says if you had a stereo system, what sounds come out the left side, what sounds come out the right side. In our sound system, even though we have left and right speakers, they all get the same sound. So it really does not matter where you set that whatsoever. So you can set it anywhere you want. It's not going to make any difference to the sound in the room. The next one is a mute button. So when it's muted, there'll be no sound out of the monitors or out of the main sound system. But remember that, no sound out of the monitors when that's muted as well. The next switch is called PFL. This is called pre-fade listen. I'll do a separate video on PFL, but it's if you're using headphones to kind of listen to what's happening in the sound system. This is the way of isolating just this one channel. So all I hear through the headphones is one channel, versus when none of these are pressed, I hear everything that's coming through the sound system. These are the LEDs we talked about that tell you if you're clipping or if you have enough signal. These 4 buttons are what are called our groups, and I will explain this one now. There's left, right, M for main, 1, 2, and 3, 4. These buttons assign this channel to these faders right here. Group 1, 2, 3, 4, left and right, and main. It's really important that if you want a sound to be coming through the sound system, the main button has to be pushed down. Otherwise, it won't go to this. This assigns it to this fader. So main has to be down. Generally, all our channels always are selected main. I also have them always selected to be left-right, and that assigns them to these faders. Because if you want to record in the church, and we're set up to record, and I'll show this in another video, it assigns it to these faders, and these faders send sound to our recording equipment, right on these 2 right here. Interestingly enough, the pan does work for the recording. So if you're recording something, you can set where a sound is, left or right, in the sound field for recording, although it won't affect it in the mains. Group 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, this you can assign it to these faders right here, which are not connected to anything in the sound system. But you can assign these faders to main and left-right. Now this is going to start to sound confusing, but I'm just going to go for it, because if you're still listening to the video at this point, you'll like this part. Let's say you have sound and you have like 8 microphones that are all doing vocals. And so you want to be able to turn all the vocals up and down. What you can do is take them out of the main mix, okay, and assign them to 1, 2. Okay. Now, faders 1 and 2, if you assign those to main mix like this, these now control all those channels. So I can turn all these up or down using this, and it sends them to the main mix. It's really, really convenient, cool thing. Darren has done it in the church, so he's good to ask. He's done it before. So there you go. But anyways, that's the whole channel strip, and I'll stop there before I go on forever.